Hi, everyone.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for attending our event, How to Be a Business Obsessed CSM in 2026. I'm so excited to have our speaker, Alexandra, join us to talk through this important topic and what this really mind shift in set of skills requires for you as you know, CS evolves overall as an industry. Now, Alexandria, I'm going to introduce her and I'm going to hand it over to her. I think we have about 60 minutes, though. Will there be some time at the end for Q&A?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So we'll have some time for Q&A. So if you have questions, you can either hold off on asking and wait until the end and you can jump on mic, or you can post them in the chat and I'll also be monitoring those so we can talk through those at the end as well. But please mute yourself right now if you haven't already, so that we don't get any feedback from your microphones. But let me introduce Alexandra and we'll get started. Alexandra is a fractional chief customer officer who helps early stage B2B SaaS founders bring structure to post sales chaos. Through AI CS Hub, which she founded, she partners with seed Series B companies on 90-day engagements to build scalable CS onboarding and support systems, basically turning retention into a growth lever and reducing founder dependency in the process. Her focus is on clarity over comfort in systems that outlast any single individual. So, with that, Alexandra, so excited for you to join us and take it away from here.
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra. I'm a founder of AICS Hub, and probably I tell a few words about myself. 10 years ago, I started as account management intern, and over the years, I grew to the chief customer officer. Last year, I decided that I would like to pursue my dream and to open my small business and start helping CS leaders to organize the post-sales chaos. It transformed to the thing that I actually start working with founders because I've understood very fast that it's important to establish customer success function from scratch early on. So here we're today with a topic about how to be business obsessed customer success in 2026. And I will tell you a few words why I came up with actually this idea. I think that we are all aligned that every company has its own values. I have worked at least at 4 startups, and when we started grew, every time HR department come up with mission values of the company and of course values to make employees united about the goals. And the thing is, it's very interesting that as I see, as I have worked, and also as I have consulted, almost all B2B SaaSes have in their values either it's customer obsession or customer first or customer oriented value. And that's very interesting because that's actually where this mindset is come first. It comes from our leadership that we need to be customer obsessed, but at the same time, we see, even starting with the age of COVID and then AI, that customer success is much more than this. And it has always actually been. The customer success function ideally should bring the revenue from the existing customers. But as we see through the years, it has transformed many times, and not all B2B SaaSes understand the core value of the customer success. But today, we are pressured by the economic shifts and by AI, by layoffs, and it's time to actually transform your mind and probably forget this customer obsession value and become business obsessed. So today I would like to guide you through this framework and how you can start changing your mindset and secure your workplace. So what we have about customer obsession. So first of all, I think it's a little bit a comfortable lie that founders and then leadership tells each other. But customer obsession is actually leading us nowhere. Because if you will think about customer obsession, I always have the example, it's like either a call center or a retail or hospitality industry where customer obsession really should be the goal, because this is where you can't hide from your customer. Yes, you come to the restaurant, you have a customer, you can't just close it as an email and think about, okay, I will reply later. No, you have a person in front of you. With SaaS, it's a little bit different. You have a set of tasks, you have a business, and the business should be profitable. And when you have the bunch of people who are customer obsessed, not business obsessed, you end up not getting profitable business. And that's where we have actually this mindset shift right now. As you remember, through the years, many of us have read the posts, a lot of guides, a lot of influencers were telling us that we need to think about our customers, customer first mindset. But through the years, we see that it didn't lead us nowhere, because at the end of the day, the leadership and the investor asking about the numbers, and numbers is about revenue. So the being customer obsessed doesn't create automatic value. It creates reactive work. Yes, because why? The customer first mindset. The customer comes with some request, for example, and you need to react already, either to provide with an update or jump on a call or something else. Next, emotional decisions. Why? Because, for example, I have had so many situations where I have been a customer success manager, where I have been customer success director and chief customer officer eventually. And what I have is emotional reactive people react on the customer request and not thinking about this strategically, but how to resolve this customer request right now. And it forms a lot of emotional decisions. Either customer requested a cancellation, sometimes refund, depends on your business, or some product feature that is not aligned with the product map. And because you're customer first and customer obsessed, you're making a lot of decisions making on how particularly serve this customer right now, but not about thinking how it will help to grow your business and grow your product. And actually, if this even product request is aligning with your business, and maybe this customer is actually not even your ICP, and you need to accept this. Next, constant firefighting. I know that it's not a secret that when you have, and now I see this more often with the layoffs, probably many of you has a book of business already that's more than 100 accounts. And this becomes the constant firefighting, because you have these customers that are already trained to come to you and make them problems resolved by the first call or first email. And now, instead of building your strategic work and think, okay, this is my book of business, this is how I would like it to grow in the next 3, 6, 9 months, you're ending up in this pool of the customer requests and challenges, and even sometimes babysitting your customers, because that's how you have been trained. And then you have trained, of course, your customers. And customers, as you know, we are all people. We are very good in remembering what's best for us. And we are trained always, of course, to proceed with the best option. And the best option is, of course, not to read a guide or something else, or watch a product video, but of course, call or write to your customer success manager, who is always available for you. And next thing is zero leverage, because all of these actions in the end of the quarter didn't bring you anything. Of course, if you're overworking, you're trying to be both customer obsessed and business obsessed, but then it leads to the burnout. So these efforts are not scalable. So where customer success breaks in the reactive loop, as we see on my slide, it's that customer pain appears, We are trying to resolve it fast. We are sometimes and often praised that, yeah, great job. We resolved this challenge so fast and we kept the customer and didn't receive any complaints or bad reviews or whatever, or escalation. But there is no system fix for this. And we see the same pattern that returns again and again. However, with business mindset, you may set up the early signals, you detect them, you see the pattern, what leads actually to this. Maybe the pattern is, I don't know, different customers from different customer success managers from your team report the same problem. Yes, maybe the MRR of the particular customer is low, but when you calculate all customers that comes with the same problem, you see that actually ARR or MRR, depends on how you calculate this, it's pretty valuable, and it's better to report this to product and make them to resolve this problem. So then you won't encounter this again. You identify the root cause, and then you assign the root cause to someone who need to own it. In the organizations, of course, it depends on your structure. It can be both chief customer officer and chief product officer, because they are responsible both for the customer from different sides. And actually, what I'm sometimes curious about, and maybe you will tell us in comments, if your chief product officers or whatever who is leading your product, maybe you don't have C-level yet because your organization is small, product director or VP of product, are they also have some OKRs related to the customers? Because if they have only OKRs related to the product, then of course they won't be able to think about the customer. But everything should be tied together. In this, when the root cause is owned, you can create the system fix, because obviously you understand, okay, this is the pattern, this is the root cause that's causing everything. Now let's fix it and understand how the system will react, and actually if it will bring the value to all of us, to our business, and to reduce the time for spending on such issues and make our customer success managers more strategic. And in 90% of cases, we organization should not get back to this issue again. So, as I already mentioned, the customer obsession is a great framework in the industries where it should be. For example, retail. Yes, you're a customer in H&M, yeah, and you would like, for example, to try a new pair of jeans, but you don't see the size that you need. Of course, you will come to the assistant and ask for the help, and assistant can't ignore you. In SaaS, it's not always the same. And I sure in many of the cases that this customer obsession and customer relationship is not something that our customers actually want. For example, many of us, even most of us, except that we are customer success managers, we are also the customers of different SaaSes and products. And please tell me in how % of cases you either would like to have the product work or to have great relationships with your vendor. For example, HubSpot, I think it's so obvious. Would you like to have great customer relationship with the HubSpot because they're your vendor of CRM? I don't think so. I don't think that you even think about the HubSpot so much. You would like just to open it and serve the purpose which you and your company are paying for it. You don't want to overspend your time to go on the call, to have this relationship with your assigned customer success manager. No, you only seek the value. And I think that we also need to reframe ourselves in the same manner and keep everything business focused. In this way, you will be able to save your time and your efforts, because you will only think about how actually I can create value and drive the business approach among my work. And number one thing that I would like you to remember from this workshop is the business obsession mindset is not something that I invented only, I don't know, last year. This should be always like that. But unfortunately, there are reasons why customer success managers were not business obsessed all of this time. But it's great that we can get back to the original functionality and how actually the customer success job was created for. So I understand that it's very hard to reframe and to transition from the customer obsession to the business focus, because you have different KPIs and you have also different noises about customer and from your leadership and from everyone around you. But in the end of the day, as I told you, everything about numbers. And even though you have resolved some difficult customer escalation, we all know that in the end of the quarter, your customer success leader will look for the numbers. And that's the most important thing. That even though that sometimes you will be praised like, yeah, great job, they will not remember it in the end. And your performance will be judged by the numbers. So what you can do already today to start refocusing yourself into the business obsessed mindset. So first of all, when you have every customer interaction, I think that it's not a surprise that from psychological point of view, you will think how I can resolve this quickly so this problem customer will not bother me. That's your natural psychological response for the customer, because the customer itself is representing some noise that you would like to eliminate. But you need to stop asking this and try to focus yourself. Okay, what pattern is this revealing? For example, I'm sure that you have customers that are coming with the same problems again and again. And maybe you even sometimes forgetting that this customer already asked this question, maybe last year, yeah, or 6 months ago, but it was already raised somewhere. And it needs to be documented and needs to be fixed somehow. Next, of course, is about saving the accounts. And I think the churn is the thing that always be the topic about in customer success. When you think about saving the account, you need also to think about the whole picture. What actually led to this, that the customer wants to churn? And how next time I can prevent this? Is it by working with product? Is it by pushing my manager to actually work with the VP of sales and not to overpromise? What set of action needs to be done? And it would be great if you, as a home task, will start actually documenting something. Of course, I understand it will be hard for the first time, but if one day or several days a week, you will reframe the question from the how I can resolve this challenge for my customer to actually what this problem is revealing to me, that already means that you're starting to transform your mindset from customer obsession to business obsession. Okay, so the thing is that in 2026, AI, of course, will absorb a lot of tasks. Not all of them in one time, but eventually it will happen. And the thing is that you need to focus on numbers and on actually what drives the business and the revenue growth. The ideally is protecting NRR, because this would be the most important. And think of this, for example, the next thing how you can do is to reframe your mindset. If you have one free day, for example, or a free hour, you can even do this. Sit with your set of tasks and with your book of business and ask yourself, okay, let's imagine that 90% of these tasks, for example, I don't know, nudging customer, getting back to product, collecting the feedback, creating the task to explain what actually happened, so this fix can be implemented. What if all of these actions will be done by AI? Because, I don't know, we will go on such amazing automation level that all of the systems, including note takers, CRMs, Jira, will work to actually do this work for you. Then the only thing that will left for customer success manager is growing the NRR. And you need to understand, okay, if customers are not, for example, asking for help anymore, and my only task is to grow NRR, how I actually can do this. And instead of waiting when this AI transformation will happen, you can already start thinking in this way, because it will actually reveal to you a lot of decisions that you can propose to your manager or to your company to make already, to make actually this happen. And then after you will sit with yourself and audit your tasks and understand how to move forward, with the all next tasks and with the all next customer calls, you will think about all of the situations from a different perspective. You will go on the customer calls, and instead of thinking, okay, it seems that this problem with this, I don't know, pop-up is really bothering the customer. What I need to do today, what workaround I need to propose them now to resolve this issue. You will come to this call after the audit that I offered to you with a question, okay, is it the only customer that has this problem? Is this customer actually aligned with our priorities? Why actually this even happened in the first time? What was the root cause of this issue, and why this pop-up suddenly start bothering our customers? And when you will start reframing everything around how to fix the root cause issue so you will never get back to this again, it will become easier for you to focus only on the numbers and how to grow the numbers. So what business obsession means? It means to, for example, in adoption, to own the value design and to focus on engagement metrics, and not only on focus to them, but also analyze patterns, how to actually drive the numbers, how to increase them. In churn, it means to own the early signals of the churn and to think about, okay, these are the early signals. For example, I think that two of these accounts are at risk. What I can do, of course, to prevent them from churn, but the next thing is, are there actually customers not only in my book of business, but in other teammates that have the same thing? And what are uniting them, except these early warning signs of churn? Are they the same customers from the same ICP in tier? Are they from the same industry? Are they the same size or whatever? Because when you focus with the customer obsession only to save the customer account right now, you don't think about, okay, but what if I actually have other accounts that might churn in the next quarter like this, but I just didn't think about them yet because I didn't understand the pattern and how it will form. In expansion, it's that customer success needs to use monetization, and that you need to look for opportunities to grow your accounts, of course, through upselling and other different methodologies, and depending on what actually your product is selling. So, as you understand, the business focus is the framework or the system that helps you to transform your mindset, and instead of reacting on the customer past and actually thinking about, okay, how I can solve this customer problem today or with the next week, is to think about what actually it's alarming to me all of this time, and is this lead to the bigger problem? Can I fix this problem now and forever with my company? And if yes, what actions need to be done? So I suggest to have the 3-question filter. So before you will, I don't know, respond to the customer or escalate the situation or start building, I don't know, another guide or framework or whatever, because at the moment, sometimes guides and frameworks are covering only the problem that has appeared in the same moment. So again, it's all about this customer obsession value, but not about business obsession, because business, when you focus on the business, you are thinking about my business cannot have this problem every time, because then I'm losing the part of the revenue. Yes, because if CSMs and you as a CSM is spending time on resolving some problem instead of thinking how to grow the revenue numbers, it means that the business is losing the money. When you are not earning money, you're losing them in business. And that's the actual thing that you need to understand. So, first of all, revenue focus. With each action, even small one, think how it contributes to the revenue growth. I don't know, if it's a bug, if it's a small request, if it's a small change, if the customer asks, okay, but we didn't, for example, I think it's the obvious example that most of CSM should have. When you own both onboarding and all of the other steps of the customer journey, sometimes you have customers that are coming to you and ask, can we have one more training session? And what you do when you have the customer obsession mindset, you say, of course, yes. When on the next week will be for you suitable to book a call. But instead, you can do what? You can think, okay, what didn't work for them? Why they're asking me to spend another hour with them? Because if I will spend another hour with them, I will be not focusing on growing my NRR. I will be focusing on guiding them again through the demo of how particular module or product inside the system is working. What didn't work for them? Actually, did they have some customers like this prior to them? For example, in the next 3-6 last months, did they have customers that also asked about additional onboarding? What are uniting all these customers? What I can do today to fix this problem? Do I need to ask my manager for help? Okay, great. Is my manager can help and have enough influence to go to the product or implementation team or whatever who is in charge of the product and onboarding? Because sometimes if you have a product-led growth, everything that is designed inside of the product is on the product team. And if something is unclear, of course, customer will ask questions and ask to provide more trainings. And from this, you already making your shift from this customer obsession, okay, I will book another session, to how I can fix this right now, because I really don't want to spend another hour with a customer on the onboarding. And actually, you can also frame this to your manager, for example, because sometimes managers, I also had this problem when I was early on in my management role. They don't see a problem because they don't have the book of businesses 100 customers as you. So they don't think, okay, why are you so lazy to have 1 hour of training additional session for this customer? They're asking to you. So then you need to show your manager or whoever is leading your team the table, for example, hey, yes, I understand 1 hour as an exception. It's okay. But it seems that it's not an exception. And I have already spent at least 6 hours per month on such customers. And 6 hours per month it means that I have lost at least, for example, 6 upsell calls, for example. I don't know, yes? And 6 upsell calls. This is the amount of NRR that I can bring. If you will start framing everything to your manager and to whoever you're talking to the customer, to your company, about money, first of all, you will look different in the eyes of the people. Second, it will help you, because when you will think about money and about the business and how to grow the business, all other tasks will be for you, I would not say worthless, but they will be, I don't know, like challenging for you, or you will understand that they doesn't make sense because they don't bring value to the business. And then from this, you can also start telling this to your manager, to your teammates. You can influence on them, and then, of course, it will be recognized and probably even in the promotion or bonus or whatever. But anyway, it will also bring not only value to you, but to entire company. Because when one person start asking the questions and start challenging what have already been established, the people eventually also start asking the questions like, okay, yeah, really, why we can't fix this product issue once and forever? And I will tell you, I'm telling this not because this is something that I wish to be. This is how I have worked many times, and eventually you have a call with a chief product officer or with a VP or whatever who is leading product team. And when they also see the revenue numbers, they like, yeah, sure, why we didn't fix it earlier? If it fixes everything and your CSMs can focus on the upsells and cross sells, whatever, why not if it brings the value to our business? Because when you frame, for example, oh, this customer asks again for the training session, you sound like you don't care about customers. But if you reframe your question and show, hey, this is how actually we also lose the revenue number, you already sound like the business person and you have this respect from others. This is how it works, and you need to use it in your advantage. Patterns. This is, I already have mentioned that there are patterns that you need and can look for to understand if the situation have already been happened before with a customer or with a business or within the company. And that will help you to understand if this is a systematic issue or one-time thing. Sometimes one-time things happens and there is nothing bad about it. But usually we know in SaaS, sometimes we have the systematic issues that needs to be fixed. And the last one that I've already shared is that when you identify the root cause and you frame it as critical and show the revenue numbers that you are losing, and it's only you, but for example, in your team, there are at least 3 CSM managers, and maybe they also have the same problem. That's a decent revenue number that company is losing. And I will tell you, none of the company wants to lose the money. And when you address these questions and issues in the business obsessed mindset, eventually you will be able to fix them and never get back to them again. I think that it's worth saying about the key metrics. I decided to include customer satisfaction score because what I have observed in the last years is, even though that customer success function is already focused on revenue, we still sometimes need to own customer satisfaction score and NPS. And the thing is, I will tell you how many times I had that, for example, the numbers are okay, but at some point, customer satisfaction score drops and CEO is reacting. He's like, what's happening? But the thing is that you also need to sometimes even talk to the CEO and frame the question as like, okay, customer satisfaction score is dropping, but it's not the main metrics that we need to focus on, because we as a customer success team, the customer satisfaction score and NPS is just like surface metrics, but they don't show the actual health of business. And if you still own both metrics, of course, you need to focus more on NRR. Even sometimes when your customer satisfaction score will drop, and it will drop, of course, because sometimes product releases features and there can be outages or something that customers didn't like, for example, new design, and of course they will react. But they will react why? Because from psychological point of view, they are used to the old design and how the buttons were on the screen, yes? And there is a new design and they don't like it. And of course, they will rate poorly. It happened to me when someone on our HubSpot account decided to switch the change and to switch to the new design that they released, I think, 2 years ago. And I remember I was so pissed off because I didn't use to the new design. And I remember I had this pop-up from the HubSpot, like, do you like your new design? And I put 0 because I didn't like it and I was pissed off, even though I was already on the C-level, but I was a human and so is your customers. And sometimes you also need to bring up to your company that you work with the people, with the customers. Yeah, but you sign invoices with businesses. So start tracking time to value, start tracking NRR, start tracking all of the metrics that are responsible for growing the business. And actually, even, for example, if you see that you're lacking some revenue numbers, ask your leader or your manager to start tracking them. And I will let you know that if, for example, you will bring your management that, for example, yeah, that's nice that we are owning NPS, but what if we also introduce this metric? Because this is how I see it will bring value to our business. I will tell you for sure, every manager will think about you very great because they will think, oh, that's nice. They're thinking about the revenue, about the business growth, because eventually that's what everyone thinks about, even though sometimes NPS drops. So what actually we can learn from today's session is that no one will actually help you or guide you or tell you how to be business obsessed and how to focus on revenue. You need to teach yourself. And how you can do this is, first of all, is pausing, as we understand, not going to firefighting and resolving the customer problems immediately, because that will lead you to nowhere. You cannot help, for example, if there is something happens and at least 20 customers from your book of business are already trained that you react immediately, you will be drained in emails and escalations and the calls. You need to pause. You need to understand why this happened, how it influenced on revenue, how your daily actions influence on revenue, and actually, are you doing even something that relates to revenue? If you're not doing something related to the revenue, you need to audit your set of actions and start also bring this up to your manager and to your company, and think about the business focused. One of the things that I also would like to recommend you is, of course, blocking your time. And I will tell you one example how to think about this. So, for example, I know that we have been told to look for the generations that are older than us, for example, Gen X and Boomers, because they are wiser. But I suggest you to think about the generations that comes after us, for example, Gen Z and Alpha. And if you will see for the younger people, you will see that immediately they blocking the time, they're going on the lounge, they not overwork, and it's a great habit actually. I remember I hired the Gen Z girl, and when I had the first onboarding call with her to introduce the company structure and just to talk with her, she already blocked the lunchtime, and I was actually even surprised, and I respected her for this, because for me it was a sign of a person who thinks about priorities. And your priority should be work and to be business focused. And when you have blocking time and you can actually sit and think about, okay, am I actually doing something this week that helped company to grow the revenue? Or I'm constantly draining in the emails and firefighting and challenges and whatever. I understand sometimes it will be hard, because the first thought that you will have is like, okay, but I have 200 accounts of needy customers, and how I can start even think about the revenue focus if all I do is answering on the emails. I understand, but you need to calm down, and of course also not train yourself, but also to start training your customers. And that's the ugly thing about customer obsession mindset, because at first we were told that if we are customer obsessed and we react fast on customer emails and challenges, we are great. But now we are draining in this because our customers are trained that we react fast and we don't have time for the revenue focus activities. But this is time to also, this year for you, I encourage you to start training your customers that you're not always available, that you will reply later. And how you can do this, I suggest include in the emails sometimes when you have a needy customer that, for example, you will reply within the next 24 hours, for example, or I don't know, give the specific time frame when you can get back to the customer with a comfortable time for you and for them. And eventually, yes, sometimes customers will be not satisfied, because of course they were trained that you're fast, that you react, that you're customer obsessed, and now suddenly you are not. But in a month, in a 2 months, in a three, eventually they will understand. They will also become more, I would say, self-served, because in the time when you will not react fast, it will force your customer to eventually go and check the guide that you have prepared, go and check, maybe you have already sometimes in the past emails replied the solution to their problem or something else. But I will promise to you, in the time, it will be not immediately, but within the discipline and constant actions, you will be able to also retrain your customer not to react even fast for the problems, and they will be more understandable. Well, you will not reply in the next hour or two. The next thing that you need to do is, of course, start documenting the patterns. I understand it will be hard. You can create one document, for example, and start documenting every pattern at least one a week. But if you will do this constantly, in a month, you will have the document at least of, I don't know, 5, for example, patterns. And it will help you to understand if some of these issues can be fixed forever, or it's one-time thing and it just happens with you, with this customer. The next thing is, of course, how you frame all of your activities within the work. If there is something that constantly dragging your attention, you always need to have a document where you show to your manager on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, for example, how much time in money you have spent on this customer, and versus how much time you can spend actually on revenue focused activities. And I will tell you that I have that in the time your manager will be pissed off, because sometimes managers are understand finally that you are spending something time where it doesn't bring value, and it will force them to actually also resolve the issues. to influence on the product team, to go to the CEO or CRO and resolve the challenges. But you need to remind to your manager, because managers as people, they also drained in their own activities and tasks and things that they need to do, and they can forget. But if you will bring the same thing on the third, your weekly meeting with your manager, and you will show the clear spreadsheet with numbers, for example, yes, of course, I have replied on this mail or emails. Yes, and of course, I have trained two new customers additionally, and I had spent 2 hours on it. But I also didn't do this upsells because I was busy with this. And I also didn't think about how proactively save the customers within the 2026 because I was busy with this work. And I think everything about this can be fixed. And eventually, as I told you, your manager also will react. But you need to frame it always about money, about the business growth. Because without this, as I told you already, sometimes people will think that you are just not customer obsessed, that you don't like customers a lot. And it's not very bad for customer success manager not be customer obsessed. So your main goal for this year is to start changing your mindset to the business obsessed focused, even to be business obsessed about your customers, because your customers, they don't want fast replies. Yes, they want on some very surface entry level because they're humans, but on the business level, they want the solution and the product just to work and bring value. And everything around business, it's to know your customer, their industry, where they're operating, what actually their revenue, are they growing or not? Everything that focus around business will help you. And you need to start eliminating activities that are not related to the business and to the revenue focus. Because eventually, as I told you, everything is about numbers. Yes, you have still in your org chart the value customer obsession, customer first, customer oriented, or whatever how it's framed, but we are judged by numbers in the end of each quarter. So thank you today for this session, and if you have any questions, let's proceed to them.
Thank you so much. If you have questions, please raise your hand. Someone did ask if you're going to be able to share the slides after
Yes,
this.
of course. I think that we will send the slides with a recording.
Perfect. All right. If you have a question, please raise your hand.
Yeah, guys, if you have any question, for example, tough situation with a manager, for example, who are still forcing you to be customer obsessed and reply on every email or whatever, please bring this up today. I am more than welcome to help you and to give you some actually advice that you can start using tomorrow, today, whatever your time zone is.
We did have a question come in the chat. Rachel asked, she said, I work for hardware enabled SaaS. We are pre-launch for our product and our contract is 60 months. So not thinking about churn at this second. What KPIs do you recommend paying attention to in the beginning stages for startups?
Okay, so first of all, I think it's a lot of information because you're bringing several different points. So for example, what KPIs I recommend to mention in the beginning for startups. So I think for the startups, it's actually interesting because at some point you want your business to grow, but you also still at this stage where you have a limited amount of people and everything and everyone is doing everything. Yes. So I suggest to if you have an opportunity, is to speak or at least have something communication loop with your customers from the early beginning, because it will give you understanding what's happening with them for day one. In your case, you have 60 months. And I will say 60 months is very relaxing because you think, oh, it will help 60 months. I don't need to think about this now. But the reality that the 3 months first for the customer are the most critical one, because these customers will remember everything from how you onboarded them to how you have communicated them clearly the value of the product to how actually the product have worked initially versus what have been sold to them. So my suggestion is to have some communication loop with the customer from early beginning. It depends on your tech stack, because I don't know if there is an option to have some surveys, check-ins, if there are option to have some analytics and information that your product have implemented. That's amazing, that you need to be using. And of course, I think the most important is not to think that this renewal will happen in the next in 60 months, because as I said, it's just very relaxing, and it's better to think, okay, yes, 60 months is a legal renewal, yes, but I need to set something in the next 3 months to understand that this customer is not churning. And the obvious things is checking if the product brings the value to the customer. And I'm sure that at this point, you with your product team have already should design something what these first 3 value points for the customer. I hope that I have answered to your question. If you have some follow-ups, you can message me on LinkedIn, maybe with more details, because obviously that's what I've understood from your information. And I will be happy to help you or guide you or recommend you something.
Awesome. All right. Another question from Rebecca. What tech stack tools for automation do you recommend?
I For a long time, I have been the fan of Zapier, but I will tell you honestly, the last 2 months I have worked with NA10, and I recommend everyone to try this tool. First of all, please, of course, check the pricing and compare it with the tool that you have been using and with your budget. But yes, NA10 is very great, and I suggest not to overthink the function that it has. Yes, it has a lot of different workflows and automations, but I will tell you that you can build them on your own if you will think about what you actually need. And you just need to have a ChatGPT. And for example, the easiest prompt is, I have this problem continuously with my customer, and I would like to design some automation workflow within NA10 to resolve this or to give me these early signals. Please give me an overview. And NA10 will greatly suggest you, the ChatGPT will tell you what exactly how to build this workflow and what other additional tools you can use.
I just posted the link in the chat for everyone. We do have a couple more questions, so I want to make sure we can get through since we only have 5 minutes left. Let me know if that link was incorrect. I think I put the right one in there. You said N8N.
Yes,
right?
yes, it's N8N.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, next question from Katie. I'm completely new to customer success. How would you rank your priorities for customer engagements?
Oh, Katie, it's a tough question because it all depends on your product. Sometimes there are products that are so new and tough for the market that calls are the only option in customer success. I had such situation in 2018 when we had a very new product for the fashion and retail industry based on AI, and calls was my number one. But sometimes there are products that even don't need customer engagement actually. It also depends on your ICP. It's very important to understand who is in front of you, because if your product serves obviously middle-aged people or people, for example, older, they would prefer calls, and you need just to accept it. If it's a new industry, emails just fine. If it's a very new product that serves Gen Z, obviously they don't want to talk with you. They want just a product to resolve the issues and bring value.
Awesome. Next question. What do you think of digital onboarding rooms?
Um, this is something that I have implemented in my last companies, but it had worked only in my particular way because we had an HRM software only with enterprise customers. Because usually mid-size and small companies, I would say they didn't have so much time. But I actually think it's something that I wish to have when I was a customer success manager back then. So I think if these solutions, and obviously they are serving its purpose for specific kind of SaaS, they are great. If you have some specific tool in mind that you would like to ask opinion, yeah, please let me know because there are a lot of them right now.
All right. I think we have time for one more question. Jordan asked, how do you de-escalate ICP clients that are used to you being customer obsessed when you're trying to make the shift to business obsessed? They're not paying to care about my business metrics, so they're just experiencing it as a decrease in the customer service they're receiving.
Yes, so the issue is that these customers were trained that you are serving them fast. And usually, also, from my perspective, these are the customers that don't bring a lot of money because, as you mentioned, uh, and the thing is that it's a long road. At first, it's training the customers through the emails. Number one hack that I've made is giving the customer specific time frame when I can back to them. Next, if they are like, no, we would like it faster, is sometimes ask them, okay, I will try to get back to you faster. Can you please let me know what's currently this is blocking for you? Because when the customer hear this, okay, what's it's blocking for me? Is it actually blocking me somewhere, or I just want to have this answer for this question fast? Because yeah, if you will ask a follow-up question, like to a little bit make your customer think what they actually want from you, they will probably will say, yeah, it's not blocking me. I'm just wanting to get this answer faster or whatever.
Awesome. Okay. For those who ask questions that we can't get to, I'm so sorry. Please post those in our community. There's the Ask the Community channel and space where you can post questions and we will get to those there. So I apologize for not getting to every single question, but wanted to say before we end, thank you again so much, Alexandra, for joining, for running this session. Really appreciate it. You taking the time out of your day. This has been super helpful. And everyone else, please keep an eye out for a post with the recording and the slides. We'll post that in the community as soon as possible. And with that, everyone have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you,
Thanks,
you
everyone.
guys. Yeah.
Bye.